Morning, 10 a.m. It's the first budget session of Smithfield Township Board of Supervisors. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members present include myself, Chair David Pride, Vice Chair Robert Lovenheim, Township Manager Julia Hylica, Budget and Finance Manager Lucas Di Bartolo, and Treasurer Francis Foley. Brian, I don't know if you're with us on Zoom. I see iPhone stuff, not sure. But you're free to let us know if it is you. The first order of business is going to be the discussion of the budget meeting dates. So we're going to take C and make that A and shift down accordingly. And historically, we do these Wednesdays at 10 a.m. But we had a couple of conflicts this last cycle. So where do you want to go? I know Lucas, you have payroll stuff to do some days, but we're kind of past that now for this one.
Yeah, so yeah, I want to see the team's availability and Frank's availability as well. So we currently just have on schedule today and November 1st, and then we don't have anything on the 8th, right?
I think we were looking to do one November 8th.
We can also schedule on the 25th if you'd like. That's fine.
Well, we want to give enough time to digest everything that we're doing today, right? So
Yeah, so I'm if you want to do the 1st and the 8th, is Robert, the 8th is good for you? What, November 8th is okay for you?
That's my last day, yeah. But are we gonna meet next week?
We can meet next week as well, just to review anything. Well, it could be a
Before we do something.
Yeah.
Darkness point.
Sure.
Well, I'll move it if I have to move it this more for.
well, can we do?
Are we able to meet next week, or would we have to advertise that?
We've got enough time that we could advertise, I mean, it's fine.
All right, just so I know before.
So you want to do that 24th then, or the 25th?
Right, is that okay? for you?
Yeah, I think the next budget meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
25th at
10:25 and 11:08.
Okay.
Not 11:1.
We still have 11:1.
We need 11:01.
We should probably, historically, it was scheduled for.
Yeah.
We ended up only up meeting
Great,
three, so
yeah.
I'd rather have it scheduled and cancel it than either.
Yeah.
All right, so 10:25, 11:01, and 11:08.
And it's what did we say? 10,
10:25.
25, okay.
So we've got all those meetings at 10 a.m.
Same time, right? Then
Just keep background noise.
Appreciate that.
All right. So. Got that settled, easy enough. We'll make that announcement at our next general meeting too. So, Lucas, you want to start with the general fund?
And Julia, you started the YouTube, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, just wanted to.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks everyone for joining us again today. Just starting with the general fund budget to actual for 2023. I'm gonna go in order of the package that we have here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna breeze through these first few items, first few pieces of paper here, just because we need to get to some of the more important stuff. But basically, you can see from our budget to actual that a lot of our estimates are pretty accurate. And with our incomes, we estimated that very well. Again, they're all estimates. It's really hard to tell what everything's gonna look like for the next, rest of October and November, December. So, we got still 3 months here.
It's
But
good that we're doing so well.
with interest income way up.
yeah, so we budgeted no interest income, just being very conservative, assuming we're not gonna get a lot of interest. And then we shopped around bank accounts, we went with a couple options and we're able to get some great interest rates. So that's really
You did great.
Definitely take that.
yeah, free fun, right? We'll take it where we can get it. So No, definitely appreciate that.
Well, there's just one question.
Sure.
So we're actually ahead of the delinquent tax that you're saying,
Yes, yeah, that is accurate. Well, and delinquent taxes and prior taxes, those are things that are, delinquent is really hard to budget for accurately because it
Yeah.
changes year to year so
Right.
so often. But yeah, we are double what we thought we would collect it. Real estate transfer taxes, we'll probably hit what we budgeted. Earnings and tax, we'll probably hit, maybe surpass what we budgeted. Again, it's really hard to tell. The payments come in, bi-weekly or weekly and it really fluctuates the numbers that come in, so it's not the same every week or every month. Local service tax will probably be close to our number, we might not hit it exactly. Again, hard to say as we have a lot of weeks left in the year here.
Yeah, a lot of that tends to come later in larger chunks for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, and it's we get large payments in March too sometimes, why March? Yeah, for local service tax, but it fluctuates throughout the year. But we're doing good on income, we did, last year, the increases we had in the budget for, inflation where we increased everything, most line items went up 7%. That was accurate with a lot of line items, some line items still, looking at the time left in the year we have, we're gonna overspend on some of these, I'm sure, repairs and stuff like that. Insurance was higher than we expected in some cases, but overall, pretty good stuff.
We did literally have things get struck by lightning or catch up.
Yes, that is.
So
Yeah, that is
part of budget for that.
unfortunate activity indeed. But that's all I have for budget to actual there. Moving to liquid fuel highway fund budget to actual. This was a very easy thing here. We budget was, we're gonna spend one check for external paving. That's exactly what we did. We were able to spend a little bit more than we budgeted because of interest again, which was helpful to us.
Right.
Moving to the third document here. The Smithfield Township General Fund 2024 budgeting documents. I've got the 2023 budget listed and then the 2024 estimate. On this document here, I left the current taxes at the current collection rate, current millage rate of 1.325, just so we can see in the net at the end of this what we'll need to raise taxes by for this budget. In this budget, generally because our income estimates have been accurate, I've left those as they are. Zoning and permanent scope up a little bit. I don't want to go line by line, but most things remain relatively the same or they increase based on inflation. Inflation is a little under 4%, so we're budgeting for all of our expenses to go up 4 or 5%.
Right.
I also have for staff, inflation and merit-based increases budgeted based on board of supervisor later approval of any of that.
Right.
So moving through, we would see, there's no changes in staff or capital improvements or anything. At the end of that budget, and I will just mention the bond payment is not a part of this budget, it's just pulling from the fund balance. So I label that for the bond as just pulling from the fund balance that we have set aside for the bond.
Right.
So net change in fund balance, we see negative 241,000. With that negative 241,000 number, that's the amount that we would need to raise the millage rate by to make that up.
Right.
What that does have in this budget that we have never included before is $175,000 for capital expenditures each year. So previously we pulled from the fund balance. What this does is make a line item where, this allows us to say, okay, this is the dollar amount. We can spend this on whatever upgrades we need to every year. We can set it aside for replacement of vehicles, replacement of roofs, of things in our building. And moving that, setting aside every year.
What line is that? What is that?
So that's the last page of the document, move for capital expenditures each year, $175,000.
I was thinking of that.
Yeah, I haven't given that a, blind idea.
Yeah. Okay.
But basically that will account for, all the depreciation and capital improvements that we, historically budgeted for any depreciation costs or capital improvements. That kind of, the goal of this is to account for that. Last year we discussed that, we weren't able to put in the budget, besides just points from the fund balance. This year, we're looking to put in the budget to,
Does this include money that going to the capital reserve?
that money would go to the capital reserve.
175.
Yeah, and then we would spend it out of that fund, since that just passed through at this moment, I just had it.
So at this point, that's all that's going to the capital.
Exactly. Yeah, we, in our current year 2023 budget, we still have all the grant money that we're spending that is scheduled at the end of the year for 2024 to move to the capital, the grant fund.
Right.
But this is the only extra money that's not accounted for, that is not for our fund balance at all, that would be, over.
Right.
And liquid fuels is relatively simple, again, rather than this year though doing one check for external paving, our DPW director, Chris, has worked with Smithfield to make a plan to do all paving internally rather than externally, which will be great for us, save us tens of thousands of dollars per mile paved. So we're able to keep the paving costs the same as we did basically for 2023, 5,000 more, while so budgeting 505,000 for that instead of 500,000 as we did last year, and 328 from liquid fuels and 176 from the general fund. Then that's included in this budget as well.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, what it comes down to really now is the capital improvements, staff.
Yeah.
And fire EMS. I mean,
So, sorry, I didn't interrupt your.
it's all good. I was gonna say, I mean, like, the biggest thing to tackle will be the capital improvements that you provided us, that, we talked about. There's some things that we can strike, because we obviously have to come down with some of that.
Yeah. Exactly, so. That budget right there, right now we're at a township millage rate of 1.325. That budget as stands, moving over 175,000 for capital improvements, as we choose, include an increase to 1.71 mils. So that's 1.325 up to 1.71. Now, what we're going to go through next, capital improvements and the other documents here will show what millage rate we need to increase to do these extra items. And some may be needed, they all may be needed, but just things for us to, as we're going through, look at that. So right now, we're looking at the capital expenditure planning sheet that shows available in the planned budget, 175,000. We list through some items that I'd like to look at, discuss, and maybe vote up or down. The spending here, it goes to 317,000, so we see that, $142,000 that we want to cut from this.
Right.
Otherwise, we need to increase millage, for every 25,000 we spend, we need to increase our tax rate by an extra 0.04 mil. So if we can cut some of these capital expenditures, capital improvements, push them off for another year, that would be helpful. And this list is based on what everyone had shared with me on talking with all the supervisors and the staff of what the needs are for this year. If I did miss anything that you guys thought of list here, and I did not, please feel free to let me know. But so just going through the list, Sweetwater Dam.
Yeah.
This is something that we really can't avoid. Unfortunately, we split 1/3 of the cost of Sweetwater Dam with the other two owners of it.
Right.
And we can't say for sure that this is going to happen in 2024, but they've said that we should expect it could happen in 2024.
Right.
So there's not much we can do. That's kind of a need that we have to have.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, and there's potential grants, for that, and, we were
Yeah.
looking at some previously, but there might be some better ones
Yeah.
than the one that, Bob was doing, yeah.
Yeah, I hope that with a lot of these items, we will be able to get grants, and really we'll be able to come off some grants for some of this stuff. And that's the hope that, we need the budget for it, we need to, set aside the money for it, but if we do get grants, great, then we can, pull the money, use the money for, otherwise, hold it for next year's capital improvements, etc. Capital improvement plan engineering, for 25,000, this is a budget line from 2023 that we haven't gotten to spend this year.
Right.
This is again highly important when it comes to looking at which roads do we need to be paving, what's the full plan of truck replacements, what's the full plan for building replacement items. So I would like to keep that in the budget as well, assuming we can get to it for 2024.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Any thoughts?
I think that we probably need to keep the capital improvement plan, but I think that we can definitely scrap the 50K on the comprehensive plan.
Which man?
The comprehensive one, I know we discussed it before, and I think it's worth it to look into, using level to update some of the points, but there's no need to go do the whole $50,000.
Well, also-
process.
I think we can scrap the order from Parkhouse Engineering.
Let me, I'll go in order, Robert, but perfect, all right, so comprehensive plan, the planning commission had requested that we update the plan.
We will, I just don't wanna do it, I'd
Yeah.
rather do it through level,
And
another hourly rate than like.
yeah, right,
do a 50,000. Because we can do it, maybe they've done this elsewhere.
Yeah.
It is the same, there was some, some,
$80,000.
Yeah. Do I need to budget, some amount then to level to look at updates?
sure,
Is it,
and let's see what they would. Propose, but a guesstimate on hours, but I feel like a lot of it could be done during the regular course of planning, but. Some more joint meeting that we plan to over the next few months anyway.
okay, so I'll plan to reach out there then, Brian, you're still, can you hear me on Zoom? If you have any comments, please jump in. Otherwise, all right, so I'll bring that down to 10K from the 50K, is that for comprehensive plan? And assuming that level engineer can do that in-house, and if we say we don't need that, great, I can remove
Yeah, I
it.
mean, it's a valuable thing, it's just, it doesn't need to be done that way.
Yeah, well, and I hope that we can cut enough here that we don't have to raise additional taxes.
I agree.
To that some of these. can-
Well, I have another like 5 things on here,
Yeah.
at least that
Yeah.
we can.
So waterfront park house engineering for 25,000,
I would cut it down. Julie, what does it cost us with LVL, you think, for them to write a grant proposal?
It depends on what the grant is, but we actually.
Parkhouse.
Well, we have an opportunity, actually, Barry Isaac gives us 50 hours of grant writing service for free. It might be an opportunity that we could use them to put the grant together, or I could do it in-house and use a combination of that, so it doesn't cost additional
Well,
funds.
But the update on that is, it isn't worth saving. Period. What it'll cost us to retrofit that place to make it work, it's just not worth it. It's probably around $350,000.
Wow.
I think about 450 will then be able to build an entire new structure, and 455. And so I think we should start looking for grants to do that, maybe ECD combined with LSA. But
You wanna talk to Barry and look at the 50 hours, I mean, I didn't know they did that, it's actually really nice.
Yeah,
I talked to John Tressler about it. He says all we need from the architect is really a sketch and a per foot estimate. So if that's okay for Barry Eisen to be able to write a grant application.
Might as well take the free 50 hours. It's awesome. I said the free 50 hours is
Certainly to do.
terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so I don't think we need the 20.
but it was kind of the next one too,
5,000.
right?
Perfect, if you're both in agreement on that 5,000,
Well, whatever.
I'm thinking 10, maybe,
Well, it's 53 hours.
yeah,
Let's,
that's the one over.
let's pencil in 5 right now.
Perfect.
The roof is the only thing that I think desperate would probably need to do, but I don't know, need to spend $200,000.
So that's for some of our estimates, but at that little under 20,000 for the roof now, we did just have the one contractor repair the roof for $500. So, if we're not even going to save the house long term,
Nothing's gonna save it long.
we can pay the contractor for an extra couple of repairs if needed if it's still leaking, but maybe let's not plan to put a new roof
Oh,
on it.
yeah, I mean, they think, budget on the repairs, like 1,000 or 2 or something, because if we spent 500, I mean, keep it in the short term, but
Yeah.
use it,
Yeah,
recently.
It's a hole in the ground and short money.
Yeah, well, let's keep it
I'll
at what it is right now, and then,
throw 2,500, then 2,500 for park house roof repairs, or
yeah, I think that makes.
No,
sense.
no new roof,
Sorry, Lucas, Smith, that number, how much?
2,500. Thankfully. Next on the list here, we go, into some public works items.
Yeah,
So, loader, bucket truck, and, road mower. These are items that, Chris, our DPW director, has requested and made very clear. Walking through, with our, current equipment, that we are lacking in this equipment, we need this equipment, we don't have an operating bucket truck at the moment. Our loader is, as previously had mentioned to us, very much in need of replacement. Our vehicles that are 20 years old are, older, well past their prime, and the loader bucket truck and the mower there. Those are my estimated costs. For a 5-year loan, we would not be paying outright. We would use our capital expenditures as possible to pay off those loans, but that's my estimate of 52,000, 15,000, and 15,000 for those 3 items.
that makes a lot of sense, these things have been needed for years.
Yeah, I do recommend we keep
But the
those.
current tally of what we've already cut. About halfway to the
Yeah, we cut,
77.5.
uh,
I don't have it in there.
yes, let's see here. We cut 40,000 from comprehensive plan. We cut 20,000 from park house engineering. And we cut 17,500. Right? Yeah, perfect math there, 7,500.
What repairs did the park have?
Excuse me, hey Lucas, what is the cost of the loader? It was scrambled.
So the loader, estimated cost, including interest, is 260,000. And again, that's an estimate, it might be lower, some of our quotes came in at 200.
Yeah, but is this a discussion for actually putting that item on our 2024 budget?
That is correct, I'm going through just the 5-year loan for that, so we're going through the capital expenditure list at the moment, going through which line items, we want to include in the capital expenditure plan, and in this plan is a loan for the loader, a loan for the bucket truck, and a loan for the mower.
A loan from where?
Whichever place will give us the best interest rate.
A bank.
Usually, actually, not a bank nowadays. Some of the external financing companies are a little better than the bank. Than the rates that get today, others have given us. So similar to the way I talked around for Marshall Street, for a Del Water Gap for the loans for their SCBA's. The same finance companies are the ones we would go to for these loans.
Delaware Water Gap what?
when we shopped around for Taylor Water Gap for their SPPA's that they had to purchase, we developed convenient breathing apparatuses and we helped them, save money on that loan. We have some good financial companies that would lend to us as a township that would even be cheaper rates than the SSA or some of the banks would.
Well, that'd be interesting. I don't know that we needed all of that stuff. And this is, we don't have loans, by the way, boys. We don't have a damn loan. We have one debt, and we're very close to paying that off. Okay? And that's to build a garage. To build a garage, to build a municipal building which has no liens whatsoever against it. And I don't know about going down taking out loans. I'm looking at the budget. I'm looking at your proposed 2024 budget, and the raises that are involved in it are they're ludicrous. They're crazy. I don't see how you're gonna possibly make some kind of a balanced budget work.
We're gonna get there, we got more to cover, but let's stay on.
Yeah.
Capital improvements program.
I will come to those, any raises in the budget are not approved by the board of supervisors at that moment and would be approved by the board of supervisors. But the comment on the loader budget truck and lower, if there is some contention here, I will ask that the supervisors vote on it just so I know how to proceed.
I mean, I'm fine with sticking with this in there right now, we've had loans for different trucks and whatnot over the years, anyway, grants don't pay for them all, but. We had that pickup from a few years ago, we had the other one, we got,
Yeah, and financially, it makes sense to do the loans because we cannot afford to raise taxes more to pay it all off at once.
No.
The minimal interest we pay makes sense here to spread out the payment over the long term. If we had money set aside for the last 20 years for the loader, we wouldn't be here, but we're working with what we have at the moment.
Need to have that, okay. All right,
So
picnic tables, grills, fireplaces, those are all things that we've used for a long time.
Cameras.
So let me go to the next, if I'm using those as is, then,
And reseeding at the parks.
let me go to reseeding at parks for 10,000. So this is the, highly needed as mentioned to us by, ESYA and NFC Pocono.
Yeah,
They are both possibly going to go to the boards and ask if they would chip in for this reseeding. I can't say that that's going to happen or not. So assuming it does not happen, we should budget for all of this. If it does happen, that would be great for us.
Right.
But we definitely need this reseeding. I don't know the last time the parks were ever reseeded.
a lot.
And
They've been aerated and stuff, but not necessarily reseeded.
yeah, there's been some complaints there. So if we can keep that in the budget, that would be great.
Alright, so the park cabin repairs.
Yeah, park cabin repair, that is, Julia, can you talk about that repair?
Is this more the study or is this like the?
No, that's the reshaping for the bottom. The
Yeah.
stones along the base are beginning to get a little bit loose
Right.
because the mortar is.
It's like the old bridges.
Exactly, so we got an estimate, it's gonna cost us about $3,500 to rechange the base.
Well, here's a bigger question. First, if anything with that cabin that needs redoing, can we apply for a historic grant to do it? I think they go up to $15,000. Yeah.
It's not really historic.
So that's one that's a possibility. The other thing is this, Lucas, you mentioned someday putting in a volleyball court. My question is, it's a nice cabin, but is it in the right place and does the public get any utility out of it?
Well, I think we have to redo the changes and we have to, go from there on that. Now, John Trust has already looked at the rest of the property, to do a volleyball court.
Do you find it?
I have to ask, it was probably about 3 years ago, we asked him to look at that, but yeah, I think it's because people can't play basketball if they want to,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, no, you're right, the constant, struggle.
What do you do with a cabin, playing house?
No, but it's good for, there used to be some wonderful events that were done there and. Demonstrations and things like that.
Yeah, I actually reached out to the Historical Society the last time we talked about this. They said they're too busy right now to take on any sort of, opening and looking at it and doing
Yeah.
a presentation. But they did say that, you're always welcome to come down and take a look through the records if we can get somebody to do that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they've been great. They've been interested. I've spoken to Amy Weiser about it. I don't know if you spoke to Amy or if you spoke to, I forget the. What's her name? Also Julia? Yeah, the other Julia. So, yeah, no, I think that'd be great. It makes sense. That's such a minimal cost.
And then the other thing with the volleyball court, that is on John Custer's radar, but as it stands right now, we can't do any additional improvements to that park until the NPD has permit is handled.
Right.
So once that gets through and is done, then we can start considering doing improvements to that park. But for now, everything's on.
Yeah, because he did, he and I spoke for at length about it, and he looked. Not there, but it would probably require the earth moving, but I think there could potentially be some other. Locations for that type of thing, but. Be nice so people can play basketball. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I see here, I mean, the line painting vehicle, I know that's something we discussed with Cobb.
Yeah,
Right, or we're on the same wavelength with that. I remember that we all felt that if all the municipalities chipped in together, it'd be much cheaper to just have our own line painting done than it would be to contract it out with shoddy quality.
Yeah, we currently pay a little under 40,000 a year for external light painting.
Yeah,
So if the cost would be lower than that, great. Or even if it's the same cost, then I wouldn't have to include it. There's no capital expenditure here. If we're assuming it's more than that, then I would need to include a number here, and that would affect our.
our meets pretty soon, right? So we can.
Hello?
Right.
What's up, Ryan? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Here, Brian?
Ryan, can you hear
I can hear you. Yeah, now I can.
me? Okay, yeah, no, we weren't talking for a moment. We were just, looking at calendar. So, yeah, so line painting vehicle as of right now, I did not include anything for that. If we feel like have to, that would,
No, let's see what comes up at COG, because I know people are interested in that. I know Middle Smithfield is at the very least, and I think Hamilton was also interested.
okay, so I'll wait for an update there.
Yeah.
The purchase of it though, just when we also, we're looking at the, loader, bucket truck, mower.
Yeah.
If the line painting vehicle is another loan or something, if they can wait, great.
Well, I feel like we should be through COG, because I mean, if the interest was like COG can own
Yeah, nice.
materials.
Nice.
So I think we thought, doing that.
Yeah, well, if that could save us money too.
I was super interested.
Yeah.
I know at our last meeting, I think it might have been the August meeting, not the September meeting. But we definitely talked about that because people are not thrilled with Atlantic. I mean, everyone's seen the spot and all the issues, but. That's, yeah,
Well, if it could save us money too, that would be great.
all right, Mike,
Perfect,
and see if that's gonna be again.
much appreciated. Perfect. So then, going through the list still, additional picnic tables, grills and fireplaces at the parks. This year we had budget capital improvement 7,500 for that. We will, I'm sure, spend some of that before the end of the year, but we have not spent that.
I think that's a fair figure.
Yeah, at the moment, do we need to budget an additional 10,000 for next year, or that's the question of if you feel that's a decent figure for some of these items.
Dave, Strong was looking into costs of fireplace, so let's from right now, we should have more figures to plug in the next week or two, but I think that's fair.
Okay.
AEDs, don't they cost about 2,000 each?
Probably a little over 2,000 keys, but we do have, multiple, I thought there were,
What do we have?
for some reason, when I looked at it, I thought the cost was higher. If you think it's only 2,000 keys, that's not bad. We have this number as a line item from this year, and this is carrying over from current year as a capital improvement need. Our IEDs did not, expire yet, but they are reaching expiration. If you think that number is not accurate, I can look at that, but I thought it was,
Right, that sounds about right. Plus, there's
yeah,
plenty of
I wasn't sure.
grants locally even for that.
Yeah, so okay, so if we leave that as, if we leave the additional picnic table fireplaces as is, cabin repairs left as is, okay, then speed sign for 5,000. That was something,
Here's a deal. I just got this morning, my email, but one of the companies that is highly recommended, making which Pocono Township uses, several others.
Yeah.
What is it? Canardo is giving us a deal. They got a sale. 3 for $9,300. Usually they're about $3,900 a piece. So I wrote my flyer, I said, look, are you interested in this?
They talk about that too.
If middle take 2, we take the money, it costs us about, what, 3,300, we save about 500 bucks.
Yeah.
But we gotta do it now, so it wouldn't even be on next year's budget, it would be on this year's expenditures. So if Mike wants to come through, but I think it's a great deal.
Well, let's put a pin on that and tell.
Yeah.
Carlton, yeah.
I just don't know that we have the money at the moment to spend outside of the current capital.
And by the way, from what I've heard, and what I've seen on the data, it's working on River Road. You know, nobody's going 25 miles an hour, but at least they're going 35 rather than 45.
Or 70.
Yeah.
You know, you see some people, but yeah. The only thing that's, clear to me too, is the fire, requests. If we're breaking out fire millage, I see no reason to include in that because they can utilize the funds themselves.
Yeah.
That's the way they see fit.
No, I agree, so, okay, I'll jump ahead for a second, so Charlie Fire, current request, they had requested $1,000 this year. We said we wait until budget to discuss. Delaware Water Gas, SCBA loan request, $20,000 from us, we said we wait, as well as Market Creek Fire Company for their, a new, GMC Sierra, I requested, I put 16,256, I think. That, if they have that rate, so it's actually only 8,000.
Right.
But it remains, but yeah, like what you're saying of, looking at next in one of these upcoming sheets, we'll see that we plan to implement fire and EMS taxes. The fire taxes will cover these amounts more than this, and I think we don't need to also give them these funds via the capital improvement.
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect, so if I will, Robert, Brian, any comments there, otherwise I plan to remove these 3 requests from the capital improvement expenditure. All right. So removing those, speed sign, so just to confirm, I'm leaving the 5,000 in for the speed sign for 2024 at the moment.
Yeah, leave that in for the moment. Cause we'll talk to COG when we're there.
And then, laser fiche document management, so our current document management system is, highly, in need of updating. Our current staff have issues with it, so this is the cost to switch to the new system. Julia has spent a bunch of time getting a variety of quotes, going through a bunch of different presentations, and this is pretty much the best we can get, so I definitely recommend we use that.
A lot of the municipalities use it too.
Yeah.
It's really, really good, compared to that, it's much more accessible too.
So, okay, so we've completed the capital improvements list here. Now, we were needing to remove 142,256 to avoid any tax increases. millage from capital improvements, we cut 114,756. So we are a little short. So that 27,000, it would raise millage by about 0.045.
Let's put a pin on that now, because then we can, look over the next,
Sure.
session.
I'll leave that as is though, at the moment planning for that. All right. Then, so next thing you see here is, Smithfield Township additional annual recurring expenditures. So this is not for capital improvements, this is for additions to the budget. We have 2 staff additions that have been requested. These line items include wages, but they also include the benefits, insurance coverage, FICA, and all that, just for ease of rounding it up into one line item here.
Right.
So this is just a working title from what I've been shared, but Park and Recreation Director. There's no way around the millage increase for either of these, and call it work through. But if you want to discuss
It's
the
totally needed too,
Yeah.
the public works, because, I think we've all had a chance to meet with Chris Claus. And this would save us a tremendous amount, elsewhere. We have to calculate exactly how much, but it's pretty significant how much we're doing in all these other places, when we could have something done, not stop the work, in total like we have to now, and then send people to go drop something off, get something back.
Yeah, oh no, if you're totally right, I mean, the time savings and efficiency savings is one thing for the public works, mechanic. It is tough to do the math on is it saving us money or not, because, if we have $70,000 we'll spend in our maintenance and repairs line item, how much of that was labor, how much of that was parts that we would have had to pay for anyway?
Right.
So it's really hard to do that math, if it's worth it or not. Most townships do have a mechanic that they pay full time to do work. Most townships do, we do not. Chris has requested that. But again, it's really hard to say. I can't say for sure, oh, this is going to save us money. It might cost us some money to
I think the quality of
Yeah.
the work we're gonna be able to do, especially if we're planning to take other things internally rather than spend it elsewhere. I would rather do that and have that quality assurance that we're looking for.
There's no third party making a profit
Yeah.
on that work.
Plus,
So
we can see, what the others are, do a study, we can compare mechanic rates, and different things. I know Stroud has varying rates, but
Yeah.
Smithfield also has varying rates, they have. So, plus the boroughs, they all do too.
yeah, I know, yeah, most of it.
And Hobart.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
I think even Paradise might. All those. That's my stuff.
So,
I mean, they're talking, I mean, they're part now.
yeah, really important.
Yeah.
So, but, starting then with the mechanical work crew. We would need, because this is not something that we budget for, this would increase millage by 0.132 million.
Right.
So that's something that we have to consider, and then park and recreation director, if we want to talk about that a little bit.
I mean, the reality is, there's so much that needs to be done, and it cannot all be done. We don't want to outsource everything, we don't want to, we're not allowing, Julie and yourself, candidly, to be able to focus on some of those bigger picture things that your current roles entail, because there's so much demand elsewhere on parks, or, not necessarily on the green stuff, but on the parks, and I think that's the direction to go. There's plenty of professional people that will
We
be
have
done.
that 5 major parks here.
What's the grant management aspect of it too? We don't want just someone that's gonna walk out there, clean up, like, we want someone who's going to be able to manage, the bureaucracy through DCNR.
Well, and you're right, and apply for grants.
Well, exactly, but also manage the existing ones we have, because it's fantastic that we've earned all these, it's awesome, it offsets the expenses, like an insane amount, the return is like 10 to 1.
Yeah.
On, these grants. So to be able to have someone else to effectively manage that, like a number of other municipalities do, I think it makes sense, and at the moment, it's going in the budget, but we have to see what we're gonna come out to anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if we included both of these additional staff members in the budget, we would go from the 1.71 for the township rate, excluding fire and EMS. We would go to 1.957.
Still lower than like 1,200.
Oh, yeah. I'll be able, I can pull that up if you'd like, but yeah, we're still lower than majority of municipalities.
I mean, you gotta make a lot of these investments, otherwise we're prolonging, inevitable at some point,
Yeah, but I think. The right kind of. Parks and Rec person is not just that, it's somebody who will not only push forward on our grants for all kinds of things, but. Manage our open space as well.
Yeah,
What I'd like to see in this township is never another Stony Valley. Muddle, let's call
Oh, with PRD.
it, which has been going on for what, 20, 30 years, but,
Longer.
and we're facing, man, probably facing other things where, somebody who can assess, all the factors in open space and development is really important to us.
Do you have the administrative new person in the budget now?
Yeah,
That was,
because we approved that last year, that person has remained still in the budget.
Still in the
So that's-
Yeah, we opened that, we're looking, but as we started looking at the budget, it made sense to evaluate. Cause I mean, that person ideally, like we've talked about before, is, permit management, receipt of information, things like that. And rather than, have them do that part, so like, it's impossible to have three, full-time jobs and one person that makes 45 grand. And I think that's why it's important to look at these other, positions.
And just areas like trying to protect the waters of Lake Valhalla, which are trying to protect it, and, the riparian, echo park call it. That should be something that a parks person does. And it gets complex. What are we doing? What are the grants? How are we, protecting? What's gonna be planted there? All kinds of things that are just beyond us right at this point. We need somebody who can do it. That's why it's the open space, call it what you will, or the ecosphere, but it's a big job.
Yeah, so to clarify, that park and rec director, that was just the title I threw in there.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't even call it that. I'd say park, rec, open space, and eco space. Something like
That's a
that.
lot, but let's.
You can figure out a nice title, but it's much more than parks and rec.
Well, of course, and that would be my, thought, but I mean, at least it's a placeholder. But I think it makes sense, and I'd like to,
And that is frankly, answer, yeah, that's in addition to the front office person.
this will save us eventually on grant too, because then, but this is in kind to ourselves, that's reflected on grant applications. Rather than, getting the pro bono stuff from other people on the outside, it'll be part, it's not gonna be a complete wash, but it's going to make us much more soundly operating. I mean, I think that makes sense.
So, as of this moment, then I'm leaving both in the budget. Again, I can't say either way, it's gonna be.
No, let's get some, costs from the other municipalities, what they pay. I'm sure a lot of them are experienced. I mean, you don't generally hire someone that's right out of
Yeah.
their training, but you usually have someone that's at least 1 or 2 years.
Chris did mention that, this person would likely make more than regular crew member.
Right, and we can look at unity, because you can have structured rates. Guys having a different rate for someone with different training.
Yeah.
They're theoretically general, public works crew, and then there's, if you have a mechanic, it's gonna be okay to pay that a different, but ultimately, that'll be negotiated too, if they're part of the bargaining unit, and they should be.
I'm sure.
You need some?
Just take a candy bar, and it's too long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in my car.
Yeah, we got
Candy bar.
just, I will pause for a round. Good.
Keeps me alive.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? last time this happened, I had some vegan keto candy bar, and you ate it, you thought it was great, but I don't think it, out of it, if you knew what it was. That's good. Alright. Well, let's move on to fire and EMS.
So. Fire and EMS, we know as we've been paying, many thousands a month. For EMS services to Bushkill, these past few months here, continuing on. That got some real issues currently happening with EMS, I don't have to review that again.
Yeah.
With fire as well, they've all come to us, pushing for a fire pack.
Yeah.
We have that JLM studying this, is outstanding, we have not gotten any data from that, and I don't expect we will anytime soon. So we're moving forward with the data we have.
Yeah.
I've reviewed Marshall's Creek, Shawnee's and Delaware Water gas budget. I've reviewed, the document they provided.
Okay, all the financial
Yeah.
statements.
Yeah, capital improvement plans that they were able to give to me. And, no one, whether it's any of the fire companies or Bushkill, Suburban does have some money set aside, but no one else has been able to have enough money incoming each year to set aside an adequate amount of money to replace the asset. So they're all taking the time bomb waiting to happen, where we have $1 million truck, a $750,000 truck, a $500,000 truck, that there's no money set aside to replace these vehicles, and then it's just gonna be loans and higher interest rates. So we have the chance to avoid that by ensuring we're funding them adequately and enough. So not only would we, be funding them, moving this money out from the general fund, but the fire tax or any EMS taxes, but we would increase the funding to ensure that they're able to sustain and provide.
Yeah, we don't want them to, default on a loan either, because that's, I think, the real risk, is like, what happens when someone's like, hey, you couldn't make your $40,000 payment on the ladder truck that they're inevitably going to need. I mean, we're looking at that with, different regionalization, at least in resources, not necessarily departments, but, multiple municipalities going in together on different, materials, radios, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the need, that we're seeing. And, we know from, Julia and Robert and I, we sat at the Marshall's Creek meeting in the summer, where, they had folks from a company that does their tax stuff, that manages their assets, volunteer services.
Yeah.
And, it was pretty clear, even Shawnee sat in on that, and pretty much everybody agreed, all the municipalities agreed on some sort of breakout. And you already say most municipalities in the county, we can see from that millage sheet that the county provides.
Yeah.
Already break out for it, and they're doing much better as a result.
Mount Pocono, Poolbach, Pocono, Chestnut Hill, Mechanic, Codiana, Jackson, and more. They have these taxes in place already. Not necessarily in the amount that we want to implement, or some more. Some more, some, but it's we are adequately trying to fund what they need, rather than just waiting for them to fail, or waiting for them to ask for money, or waiting for them to explode, just as the situation with EMS has happened. We want to avoid that.
Right, because they're really only a few steps away.
Oh yeah. Unfortunate for us, though, that leads to, an EMS tax and a fire tax, and based on these amounts estimated here, and again, this is for fire, starting with fire, this is not necessarily enough to cover all of their capital expenditures and capital.
Right.
This is just helping.
Right, because I think the preliminary things, I spoke with Mike Dwyer at length about this, and the other, our other colleagues in Price and Middle Smithfield, and even Lehman to a lesser extent. That the thought for this year is, do this now, not necessarily lowballing, because it's still more than they do now. But for this upcoming year, do this, and then over the course of the year, see where it goes and see where it needs to go, either up or down from there, but at least it's sustainable. Because the fundraising is great, and they can still do that, Pocono Mountain Regional Library still does fundraising, there's all sorts of things like that. But this, at the end of the day, is gonna make sure
They need
that these services are here and that they can recruit.
Yeah.
And effectively, recruit volunteers.
Yeah, they need fundraising.
Because a lot of them send out solicitations, they don't break even. on the solicitation letter. I know Bushkill doesn't, I know Marshall's Creek is close.
Yeah.
You know, Gene's talking about how it goes down, you know, every year, it's like, they send out 8,000 things, might get like 55 people
Yeah.
to give $50. I mean, that's not sustainable.
They, you know, we need to sustain these volunteer services. I can't, you know, EMS is already mostly paid.
Right.
For fire systems, we need to sustain services volunteer as long as possible.
Right.
We know once we switch to paid, the cost will be.
Yeah, and the
Immensely high.
state and county, I mean, but ultimately, the state has to, you know, find some sort of better legislative solution for this. I know they're working on it because this has already begun to happen in some larger counties. And you see in Bucks, there's more regionalization, there's, you know, matching funds in Pike, there's different things like that, but at the end of the day, these numbers are pretty reasonable. I mean, the only thing that I really, you know, question is like, I don't think there's any way that we can do the 111.3 to.
Yeah.
Suburban. I think, you know, they certainly deserve something because no matter what, they're gonna be running calls here, and they have the primary service area for a portion of the township, roughly 15 or 20%. And I think to maintain that, you know, for them will be important, but also, yeah, really ask Stroud, which is, you know, even harder than us, you know, for 196,000.
Yeah. You're exactly right. They reached out to every municipality. And in the region, so Stroud Township, Delaware Water Gas, East Stradford Borough, asking for a share of funding. So Suburban EMS is looking at to date, I believe they have a $307,000 loss this year.
Yeah.
Next year, they expect it could hit over 5,000 or 500,000.
Yeah.
So they base the split of funding to make up that loss that they expect for next year. Which is unfortunate that, you know, both Bushkill and Suburban, same business, experiencing the same problem. Suburban does have more money in the bank at the moment that they you know, can, but I can't say that they, you know, what their estimate was reasonable from what they provided, so it's yeah, tough.
Yeah.
You done? No.
Okay, all right, well, that's useful for them. Okay, all right.
Are you thinking we try and lower anything in any of this or?
It's this, I don't know, I think the millage rate is generally, you know, on point for EMS, and it's probably about where like Middle Smithfield will have to do, at least proportionally on their end, because they're in, and so is Price, you know, they've all said, yeah, we have to do it.
Yeah.
At this point, you know, we know we're talking about Greg and Mike, Mark and Ned. I feel like Bushkill probably need more on that end, because they have assets that need replacement. You know, much more than Suburban does at this point. And it's pretty clear to me that Bushkill can continue to be, you know, in the eastern side of the county. Gonna have us, Middle Smithfield, potentially parts of Price as they do now.
Yeah.
We're gonna need some more infrastructure to, you know, make sure that they're here, and I know that they're potentially gonna be getting some property in Smithfield that they'll be able to locate themselves on, and it'll be more effective service both for us and Middle Smithfield. Because now that they're not running,
We're saying,
you know, out of.
Bushkill or Suburban.
Sorry, did I interchange them? Bushkill.
Yeah, sorry, no, okay, yeah, well, and we've got the station right here at the oldest
Right.
too, and yeah, the 166,000 budget from Bushkill, that does include a little bit more than
And just the emergency.
than just the emergency payments, but based on that budget, they do have some capital planning
Yeah, okay.
in that. Without proper audits and proper financial measures.
Well, I think that we can mandate that as part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to do that for all the fire taxes, the EMS taxes, we want full audit.
Even if we're making sure that we're covering it more or less. You know, because it has to be accountable.
Yeah, well, and they, you know, adding the extra funding we're giving will cover full audit for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, and you're already gonna be meeting with the folks from, the chiefs from the three fire companies.
Yeah.
The coming weeks. I
Yeah.
know you've reached out to some of them, because we have the right side of the split, but everyone's also still going to be getting more funding than they do currently. Receive. Because I mean, it's gotta be proportional to both calls and land area, basically.
Population.
Yeah. We look at, it's 53, 38 and a half, like, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's no reason it should be equal now, considering the difference in service area and call volume.
Yeah.
But at least it maintains, I mean, there'd be substantial increase, which is going to allow everyone to do better and do much better. Be able to do that. Planning for their apparatus, water gap's already pretty good on their apparatus because they have LSA funds to redo, their fire station and whatnot. But the others, they're gonna need those capital improvements over the course of
And
a few years too.
And all of them, you're just looking at a 10-year or 20-year schedule, 10 years to replace, if I have to replace a $500,000 truck 10 years from now, I have to set aside $50,000 a year
Right.
to replace it, and, none of them, we know.
Hopefully they've gone up substantially. Now, I think the increases have, I won't say stagnant, but they're now more in line with inflation than they were before. Before an $800,000 ladder truck is now, $1.25 million.
Yeah.
I think they're in progress now with Marshall's Creek, at least in building them, and they still wouldn't take delivery for another year or two.
So, do we want to look at any changes for Bush Killer or Suburban? I can revisit these numbers, see if I need to adjust either way.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think I have some information I gave you the other day, from the Bush Hill meeting, so you have the most recent,
Much appreciated.
data. But I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's,
Be curious to see what our neighbors do.
I'm very interested to see, I don't want to, just our neighboring townships, if they chip in what we're calling the fair share.
Yeah.
I think I'm interested to see if we can get some of that data.
Link up with Bonnie. And see, because I know that I don't remember when their budget started, but, where the budget meeting started, but. This is, pretty common sense, stuff right here. It's unfortunate that we're in this at this point, but, a few years ago. Like 30 years ago, there were 300,000 volunteer firefighters, in the Commonwealth. Maybe that was 40 years ago, and now it's, about, they said it was about 3,000.
Wow.
It's kind of, the same thing with policing. They used to reject people, I mean, they still reject people for the police academy, for the Pennsylvania State Police Academy. But it used to be that they would get like 300,000 applicants and they would, reject, 270,000 of them. Now they're talking about, we need like 10,000 more statewide, and they're only getting 7,000 or 9,000 applicants, per class or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing on fire EMS. EMS is already a few steps closer to the drain.
Yeah.
Than fire in most cases.
Yeah,
We've seen
right.
lots of service in Pike County, in different places, where there's been none.
Yeah.
And that place doesn't even have a hospital, so imagine, we need to maintain that here.
The next, budget meeting for Middle Smithfield Township is tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we'll hopefully have more information for that meeting.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. That's cool. I mean,
So then, moving along then through that, if I leave those votes as is, that puts, for the moment, that puts EMS at 0.445 mils, fire at 0.55 mils. I could probably go like 0.554, I don't know, I was just rounding it to one in total.
right, the needs are relatively similar, just less companies.
Yeah. Now, the bar companies did ask for the full 1 mil themselves, but we cannot.
No, I can't, I don't think you can justify that, at least not before knowing everything, like, let's see what the next, once we get to September of next year, we're gonna see where they're at.
Yeah, this
This
doesn't
is
cover,
here from JLN.
Till next year.
that too, Robert, this doesn't cover all the capital improvements, but it helps.
Right,
So, all right, so moving to the last page then here,
yeah, then we'll start to wrap this up for today at least.
I have the, last page here is the, cable franchise fee. So, currently it's a 5% tax placed on all cable subscribers, not internet. These funds are allowed to be spent for any purpose. We make about $112,000 a year. There was some discussion last year about removing this cable franchise fee, when we implemented the fire and EMS taxes. We are aware that, I had, hoped not to remove it just because of, I like the free money of it, purpose, but it does, but it's not free because it does cost township residents who have cable 5%. These are thoughts.
Hopefully not that many have the subscriptions anymore.
It is a reducing dollar amount, and the thought
Yeah.
of this was,
Yeah, we started, we have it.
yeah, so we really do tax and about more.
As much as I think it's a regressive tax, I think we can't keep these people every week this year.
All right, well, I mean, I think that makes sense to keep it at least for right now then. I mean, I think it makes sense, at least right now, while we're still working through the rest, we can revisit it next year when we're going through everything else.
Okay.
Just don't have any money.
Yeah, no, it's tough to raise it another 3.8 or to save it, so, okay, I'll leave as is with the franchise fee for the moment. No, you're right, but, on
really pay it.
the list then, Robert, on the list, so, all right.
We'll look at that once the survey, maybe by the time we look at that, we'll have the elements.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe you can, form your own RLN, high net worth, I don't know, it's
Will
Clear out
accomplish
those
as much as they have by now.
unfortunate.
So just for reference where we're at, so starting budget based on increases I had in the 2024 budget, regular activities, that started at 1.71. Additional staff, when adding both those individuals at 0.247. Additional capital improvements, which we mostly cut down, but still at 0.045. EMS at 0.445. Fire, and I have this written down, fire at 0.55. We saved the 0.18 by not removing the cable franchise fee this year. But that brings us to a total of 2.997, including the fire and EMS taxes.
Right.
So for reference, 2.997, just for reference here, Stratford Borough is 8.99, Mount Pocono, 6.34, East Stratford Borough 5.17, Coolbaugh 3.68, Pocono 3.63, Chestnut Hill 2.66. Including fire and EMS taxes, so we would be falling to 6th place, including fire and EMS. And if we were just looking at,
And that's assuming the current rates too, because Bill Smithfield.
they all have to increase
Right,
their.
they can increase their LST, but that won't make up what their fair share would be.
Yeah.
For fire and EMS, I mean, we still may be well closer to 10,
No, you're
the median.
you're totally right, and if we excluded fire and EMS, our rate is 2.002,
Yeah.
and then that drops us behind Chestnut Hill, Stroud, Barrett, Eldred, that drops us,
Well, it has a higher.
yeah, they're at 2.2, so we would be at.
Right. That's right now, for a place with only 2,500, 3,000 people,
Yeah, so,
they made the correct investment.
it's these are increases, but these are, not above some of our peers.
So what's the overall increase then, right now?
So the overall increase, including fire and EMS, we would be going from, I will tell you in 1 second. 1.325. Including fire and EMS, which is a mill, we would go from 1.325 to 2.997. So it's a 1.672 increase. 1 mil of that is for fire and EMS.
Right, I think it's,
Where would we stand in the county then with all the other townships?
It just,
Yeah, so I was just going through that, so the 2.997, if we are including, all municipalities in Monroe County, including boroughs. 3 mills puts us So behind Strasburg, Mount Pocono, Strasburg, Cuba, Pocono, it puts us in sixth place. And above Chestnut Hill, and below Pocono.
For most of these folks are gonna be doing inflationary, that's
Well,
not today's
yeah, and
numbers.
these are based on last year, so
Yeah,
we increased just like everyone, others increased last year, not everyone, but many others did increase a good amount last year. Just as we had to, others will again increase, and then we're increasing with them. If no one else increased, we move from our current, 14th place to, 15th, we move from our current 15th place to, 6th place.
Shouldn't you go by population? For the townships and the boroughs, when you figure this out?
The population doesn't really have a good, impact on like what services the township provide and stuff like that. But that's a good.
Like your boroughs and everything are much bigger.
no, not necessarily, I mean,
No,
Ross Township has no real estate, tax, but has a nearly identical population. Tobyhanna has a rough, what's Tobyhanna's current rate?
Tobyhanna's current rate is 1.846
Yeah, and that's right now,
right now.
that's right now,
Not what they would increase to, that's right now.
right, but that also, that's,
Middle Smithfield is 1.75, and, sure, they're larger than us, but it's.
yeah,
it's
Middle
really-
Smithfield is
yeah.
double Tobyhanna,
And
but
population,
less tax.
yeah,
Tobyhanna has 8,000 and 1.8 something we just said.
well, and, we all have different miles of roads as well, so, we have 55 miles of road here, if you can't compare it to population wise, another township that only has 20 miles of road, it doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't compute, but.
Yeah.
So, the one middle for fire and EMS is, very, very much hurting us, because otherwise we'd be much lower in the group here still, but.
Depends on how you calculate, it, but most places,
Yeah.
it is a separate tax, it's by law, a separate tax.
So at the moment, Cuba has a mill for that, Mount Pocono 0.2 for fire, Mount Pocono 0.23, Pocono 0.2, 0.4, Jackson 0.3, Stillwater Gap for EMS 0.24. Cuba has an EMS as well, that I'm not seeing here, but,
Yeah.
our EMS and fire rates are, it's just unfortunate that, our EMS situation is the situation it is. Some towns just get away with having to pay nothing.
Some get away with nothing, but the regional, aspect that they have over, Potomac regional. Even to a lesser extent, West End, which is the High Valley.
Yeah.
So it's a better model than something, but.
Yeah, no doubt, and, the fire tax, slightly higher than some of the fire taxes that were implemented, not that all of them, pull out that one. But, it
Right.
sets us up for our fire companies to succeed and not to fail,
It
where,
has to make up for some years. of
yeah,
not.
they're all pretty much in the same boat of mostly, on brink of failure,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, I wanna get toward wrapping.
How many townships do we think will be initiating and firing EMS taxes? Do you have any idea?
Price, Middle Smithfield.
Yeah, our peers local have to do the same things for these taxes that we're looking at, because they're asked for the same. I'm not sure, I haven't talked to suburban coverage area, Stroud Township, Stroudsboro,
At least on fire, if the three of us join, who's already done it, then there will be 13 out of 20 that have it on fire, and then others have it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, don't have the separate rates too, because, the existing stuff, like Stroud, they obviously pay, police,
Yeah.
but they don't have like a police tax, they just, it's part of the general millage, and then they contribute that over for,
The
regionally.
county contributes nothing.
that is correct.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's any basis for suing the county on them.
I'm not gonna do that, but
Well, we did it in several towns.
I don't think that makes any sense. Well, that doesn't either,
That's
but
why there's a basis for doing it.
I don't think so.
Well, you know, I don't know, I'm saying, withholding funding that really should be towards, the general good, let's call it. Or-
It's hard to,
Yeah, I don't think
it's hard
anyone's
to
ever done
define,
it.
no, it's hard to define that, but look, once we have others that have. You know, these rates, then we can look and say, look, Pike County is doing this,
Right,
can you meet us there, can you meet us halfway, I mean, cause that would make a lot of difference. And the county, I think, is looking at, you know, some changes on it.
really?
Potentially,
Okay.
because,
Jacob, it's Brian. I just lost power in the whole house and my phone's about to die, so I'm gonna check out now. I'll check in with Lucas tomorrow. And,
We're pretty much done
Okay.
anyway, so we're pretty much good.
all right,
in fact, we can take the adjournment vote now, do they hear a motion to adjourn? Motion by Robert, I'll second, all in favor,
There you are, we just adjourned, you know, we won't be.
alright, now. Adjourn 11:18. Okay. You